Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary and the frontline changes report together. The summary for the day of 808 for the 11th of May, all the SITREP or the situation report for the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine. And this is going to be a very long one. So I believe that only the Giga chats are going to stay on to watch the whole shit. And anyway, before you go, I know a lot of you are very impatient. Happy Mother's Day for you guys. It's Mother's. So happy Mother's Day. So anyway, so we're going to start off with the frontline changes report. There is a lot, which is why this report is going to be really long. So brace yourself. Anyway, we're going to have a lot of changes, particularly because of the Kharkiv offensive. There's updates at Starytsya, Hibloke, Morokovet, Menikove, Lukansi, Zaporizhzhia, Zelene, Starytsya, Ivanivske, Okheseve, Hoptivka. I went to find how to pronounce this. Hoptivka, Platinivka, and Taike. This is all the Kharkiv Front changes, and then we have major changes over at Krasnohorivka, and we have Ivanivske, Arkhanhelske, and Nestryha, which is over the Dnipro River at the very end of the Dnipro River. So these are the frontline changes. I'm going to go into details and basically covers this Kharkiv offensive somewhat. So we have to cover in regions, and this is very long. But anyway, according to the frontline, these are the frontline changes first. The Russian forces have captured, as per previously mentioned, Starytsya and Krasny and Zaporizhzhia, and these are all now corroborated by Russian information, by Ukrainian mapping as well. Now it's confirmed, and the Russian forces have actually pushed out to Hibloke, as well as a fighting reported at Morokovet and Olenikove. But the latest report, the Russian Defense Ministry report that just came out, says that Morokovet and Olenikove has been captured by the Russian forces. And there is also another push towards Lukansi from Zaporizhzhia, and this is the situation over at this direction towards Lypsi. And just to the west of this location, there is no information regarding the Hoptivka. The pro-Russian source Ryba says that there is a veil of secrecy in this area here. They do not know what is happening, or perhaps nothing is happening over there. They actually got misinformation, and there is also fighting reported at Zelene. So according to the pro-Russian source, they say that there is currently no push towards Nestryha. They are unable to push over there. Again, I would say that maybe nothing is happening over there. So, but Deep State UA did mention that there is fighting over at Zelene. So let's see how this progress. Over on this Vovchansk side of the situation, it got really complicated because suddenly there is this entirely new front line that appeared that did not exist yesterday. So before we go to the Vovchansk, we talk about this side. Russian forces are geolocated just off Avdiivka, and with this, the pro-Ukrainian mapping basically drew a huge frontline change over this area here, including with another frontline, another geolocation just off at the bottom of Okheseve, and the Russian forces basically has advanced quickly towards Vovchansk. However, important thing to note that is this push towards Vovchansk is not mentioned by Russian sources. Instead, on the Russian side, what they mentioned is the Russian forces have suddenly pushed through, in secret. Suddenly, they just appeared at Ivanivske, and they are also now at Starytsya with this massive push out from the Russian border into the Russian-Ukrainian border into Starytsya and Ivanivske. And what's interesting is that this push to Starytsya and Ivanivske is unreported on the Ukrainian side. So the Ukrainian mapping, or the Ukrainian sources and the Russian sources, basically is saying two different things, and maybe both are correct. Maybe both offensive operations are actually happening at the same time, And this is why you need to watch DPA, because we cover both sides. So if we combine these two, it looks like the operation over at this direction, in the Starytsya direction, is way bigger than previously understood, and which makes this diversion look more and more serious. And anyway, furthermore, we'll talk more about it during the the strategic and tactical reporting side. We need to cover all the frontline changes first for the impatient people first, because the impatient people have no patience, which is the meaning of impatient. So the over at the Vovchansk side, Russian forces, as per I mentioned previously, was attacking from three different directions, and they are indeed now currently progressing in this direction. After Russian forces, the Russian progress over the capture of Okhiseve, Bakhmut has been confirmed by Ukrainian mapping. The Russian forces are pushing towards Hatishche, progressing down Platonivka into the northern part of Vovchansk. The Russian forces also have entered into the northwestern part of Vovchansk, and the other side, the Russian forces have that pushed towards Taike, has already captured Taike according to pro-Russian sources. In fact, they even blew the bridge just off Taike that links them to Vovchansky Kotori, which signify that they are trying to block off any Ukrainian forces that is coming to reinforce in this area here. The Russians are trying to push towards Vovchansk also from the eastern part, so in three different directions. So this is currently happening. The Russian Defense Ministry has confirmed the capture of Hatishchev. So this is now confirmed by the Russian Defense Ministry as well. Things are moving really quickly right now. So situation is going to hell for the Ukrainians over this area here. So this is the frontline changes over at the Kharkiv Front. We'll talk in details if you're interested later after the frontline changes report. The next frontline change is over on another very significant front line, is at the Battle of Krasnohorivka over at the Donetsk Front. This Donetsk city, Krasnohorivka, is over here. And at the Battle of Krasnohorivka, some major changes over here had happened. Previously, there's a Ukrainian forces that is encircled in this area here. It is now taken. The entire encirclement has collapsed. This entire circle is gone. The Russian forces have basically taken the entire region over here, and this is based on information from the Ukrainian mapping. Huge chunk of this area here is now invalidated, or actually discarded by the Ukrainian mapping. Now they are way closer to the Russian claims in terms of the front line on the eastern part of Krasnohorivka right now. So which actually validates the information from the Russian side that is actually accurate. And there is also further advances. According to the Ukrainian mapping, they went even ahead more than that they now say that the Russians have basically captured basically almost the entire center, and they are pushing into the northwestern part of Krasnohorivka. And so this is based on Ukrainian mapping. This is not even Russian propaganda anymore, because previously these are all probably Russian propaganda, maybe, because Ukrainians did not talk about it, but it's now validated by the Ukrainian side, and they are even talking about more of that, saying that the Russian forces is now pushing into Krasnohorivka, into the northwest. So, which means Krasnohorivka is now more than half taken by the Russian forces. The Russian forces have taken half of Krasnohorivka or more. So very, very significant change, but no one will care about Krasnohorivka anymore. I know, because everybody is excited about the Kharkiv offensive. But to be honest, this is actually way more important, because this is one of the heaviest defended town, and is now collapsing. And there's also some slight changes in terms of the Ukrainian mapping, giving up certain locations that is previously still claimed by the Ukrainians, that is already claimed to be taken by the Russian side. So that's all for the Krasnohorivka. Frontline changes over at Ivanivske, over at the Bakhmut Front. So this is Bakhmut city, and at the Ivanivske region, Ukrainian mapping basically have updated the mapping to show that the Russian forces have taken the entire forest south of the highway towards Chasivya and Konstantinivka, and also some of this high ground, or some these grounds in the western part of Ivanivske. They also given up claims on the center of Ivanivske, and leaving some very weird gray zones like this, which I believe that there is actually almost no Ukrainian forces actually there. So they are just holding on to claim that no, Ivanivske is not captured by the Russian side. However, this is already being announced to have been captured since March. The 23rd of March, the Russian Defense Ministry has already claimed that it was captured. Of course, it was not that accurate because there is geolocation of Ukrainian forces within Ivanivske then. But right now, it's looking really vague and really unlikely that the Ukrainian forces still have much important positions within Ivanivske. I think largely they are all getting pushed out. So these are the frontline change over at the Ivanivske region. And then there's one more front. There's another frontline change over at the Avdiivka Front, over at Arkhanhelske. These salients around here has been filled up by the Russian forces. Russian forces have attacked from Ocharetine and Arkhanhelske and taken the entire of this salients, which now the Russian forces have straightened their front line from Novo-Alexandrivka all the way to Arkhanhelske. So this is the frontline change over at this area here. So and we move on. So the last frontline change is over at Nestryha. So Nestryha is this island over here, which the Ukrainians previously claimed not that accurately to have captured. And then it became some kind of a big hoo-ha because Deep State UA on the next day claimed that that is actually false information, that the Ukrainians was just only beginning their operation, and then create some dispute on the Ukrainian side. So the Russians made a point to show that they have control of the island. Russian Marines planted the Russian flag on the island at this very location, confirming that the Russians have taken this entire island. And this also invalidated the entire area here that are previously marked as probably under Ukrainian control. So now it's at least clearly is under Russian control. So that's the frontline changes report. And so I will go into the strategy and tactical reporting. Because I had the DPA open mic earlier in the morning. It's actually evening for me right now. So which is why I was unable to do the frontline changes report, because it's Mother Day, it's Mother's Day. So we went on some mothering, and in the lunchtime for lunch, and then when I came back, I have to do the mapping, and you can see the stupid amount of information that is on the map. I have no choice. So I have to combine the reports together. So I'm quite sure the hardcore fans are used to it, but yeah. Anyway, for those impatient ones, bye-bye. I forgot about you guys. Okay, so let's start off with strategy and tactical reporting. And first thing first, we have a MiG-29 shot down over Ukraine, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. By air defense systems, they did not mention by what. So I'm not sure, and where did that happen, I'm not sure. I suspect that this MiG-29 was supporting operations to defend the Kharkiv Front. So, and there is also this very peculiar situation over at Avdiivka. So at Avdiivka, around here, at this location, this little field or something over there in the northeast of the position, Ryber and geolocation by military summary, as well as Russian Defense Ministry, all mentioned about these helicopters getting hit on the ground. So, however, the numbers varies. According to Ryber, they say that 2 Mi-24 helicopters was destroyed, but according to the Russian Defense Ministry, they said 4. So I'm not sure who is right. And the Russians say it's 4, and they also say they hit a Mi-8 helicopter. So I'm not sure this Mi-8 is also is at this location, which means that they destroyed 5 different helicopters. So I'm not sure. So anyway, I'm not sure it's 2 or it's 4 or is it 5. It doesn't matter. Something happened over there. So that's all for this helicopter stuff. And we're going to start off with, of course, the Kharkiv Front, because this is the highlight right now. And a lot of changes around here, as mentioned. So we're going to go one by one. The first thing first, according to Deep State UA, they say that the Russian forces are still bringing in more reinforcement into this area here. And Deep State UA also have the same assessment as DPA, is that this entire offensive is likely to be just a diversion. However, so so this however, if the you see, I just want to show you, although the main task of the enemy is to divert attention from other areas, so but if the Ukrainians fail to hold the front line, and the Russians are able to take more grounds, the Russians will take more grounds, and it will turn from a diversion into a full offensive. This is an important thing to note. The diversions are not just attack and leave. Sometimes it's like they attack, and if the enemy or the defenders do not defend, then it will translate and convert and transmute and evolve into an offensive. And this is why DPA UA is actually warning about this, because the situation can become very dire, and the enemy, they say that the Russians understand this, and the current situation is increasingly forcing the Ukrainian forces to get stuck in this area here, because the offensive is just in this area is really quite big. We're talking about a front line of potentially over 60 kilometers long, and just by straight lines. So just potentially. So first thing first, we go from the west to the east, and there is some rumors about Kozachya Lopan. According to the latest Russian Defense Ministry report, today's report, they mentioned Kozachya Lopan. They say that in the area of Kozachya Lopan, they say that they defeated the territorial defense over here. The problem now is, I'm not sure if this is a fire attack, or is this actually an offensive. So it is possible that this is an offensive. So this is a big question, because if this is an offensive operation, then the Russian forces will suddenly retake a major important town, and this will allow the Russians to really get a foothold in this area here, and threatens attacks into the western part, the northwestern part of Kharkiv, which means that they can go to Sheleshiv, they can go down this highway, and then they will be back exactly the same place as they were before the fall of the Kharkiv Front. So this is quite significant. It's a question mark right now. So the situation at Hoptivka, this one went weird, as I mentioned, according to the RIBA, during the Frontline Changes report earlier just now. They say that the situation here is now shrouded in veil of secrecy. They do not know what is currently happening. I have to put it clear that there's a possibility that nothing actually happened over here. There's a possibility because of faulty information from their sources. It is possible because it could be misinformation that is put out by RIBA to help the Russian forces in the front line, because if there is a potential push in this area here, the Ukrainian forces may draw forces to defend this area. So we're not sure. So we will definitely continue to monitor to see whether this will become a thing or not. So we now move into the Lypsi sector. So this is the Lypsi sector. I will call this the Khrushnye one. So at the Lypsi sector, the Ukrainian mapping has confirmed the Russians' report about the capture of Starytsya, Krasnohorivka, Polina. They already considered, and then also at Zaporizhzhia. And the Russian Defense Ministry actually confirmed the capture of Krasnohorivka based on the latest report, the just released report. And they in the report, they also surprisingly said that Morokovets and Olinikove has been captured. So this is a bit of a surprise, because based on the information from Ukrainian Defense Ministry, DPA UA, and RIBA, all of them simply mentioned that the Russian forces are still attacking in this area here, in Olinikove and Morokovets. And however, based on the Russian reports, this is already captured, and there is good basis for this, because Russian forces is actually geolocated over here, just southwest of Olinikove, which means that the Russians have already overrun this position, and it is a possibility that the Russians have captured the entire settlement in this area here. And if they are here, then clearly that they probably also most likely have captured Morokovets as well. So this is why this matters. And there was another geolocation over at this position just off Starytsya. And so this actually confirms Russian presence in this area here. The Ukrainians allegedly have counterattacked Starytsya. However, this actually failed. They did not manage to do much. And the Russian forces after defeating the counterattack, actually continue to press on. And according to Russian information, they have arrived at Kliboke. So according to Deep State UA, they did mention Glubokoi. The Russian name is actually Glubokoi. Kliboke. So the Russian forces is now currently fighting in this area here. But the Russian mapping basically have mapped that they have basically conquered the place. This based on the Russian mapping, and they claim that based on their information, the Russian forces is already moving towards Lypsi at this moment. So there's a lot of vague stuff. So with this capture, yeah. So very very complicated situation. But most likely what is currently happening is that the Russians basically has secured literally all of this location, like literally, and they are continuing to push towards Lypsi as we are speaking. So this likely is to the simplified version of what's currently happening. This is happening. It's just that now I'm going to details about how the things have developed. So and from Borisivka, the Russian forces also pushed towards Lukyansk, and currently fighting is over in this area here. And it looks like there is no clear good defense lines around all these regions here. So the Russians are continuing to make progress, and I believe this will continue to be the case until the battle of Lypsi happens. So so we will continue to monitor. According to so this information, as I mentioned just now, Deep State UA has confirmed all Russian reported captures. Only Zelene and Hoptivka was not confirmed by the Deep State UA. So just to note that. And we move further away. The Nekushny front or the sector, Russian forces is currently stuck at Zelene. They are unable to push to Nekushny. So there's probably some good Ukrainian defenders are holding at this position, so they are unable to break through. So we'll continue to monitor at this area here. So that's all from the Lypsi sector. We move into this Starytsya sector. So at the Starytsya sector, as I mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, this came out of nowhere, and the Russian forces is currently pushing towards Ivanivske and Starytsya. They basically advanced through this entire labyrinth of forest region, and probably there is no Ukrainian defending these areas here, and so the Russian forces basically just walked through and started to attack in these various location. And according to geolocation, the Ukrainian mapping confirmed that the Russians are present just off Vovchansk, and the Russians are currently also attacking this area here with another geolocation around here. This area is looking really bad, and with this push at the Vovchansk, Starytsya, and Ivanivske, I think these locations are going to fall very quickly because the road networks are all linked by just one major road. It's going to be really difficult for the Ukrainians to reinforce. So I think Starytsya will be probably the first to fall, because at least Vovchansk, the Ukrainians can still send reinforcement. And of course, for Ivanivske, it is still possible. But Starytsya, the Ukrainians will have to go through the forest. It will be a bit inconvenient, or they have to go through Vovchansk. So we will see how this progress. Things is developing very dynamically, and of course, as I mentioned, this Vovchansk direction is only reported by the Ukrainian side. The Russians actually reported the Ivanivske and Starytsya side. So it's two different realities, or it could be both happening at the same time. So we'll continue to monitor at this area here. Over at the Vovchansk sector, this area here is looking the flying saucer capture the toy thing. The thing that they go to the arcade and capture some soft toy. Yeah, it looks like these three fingers right now. There's currently picking up Vovchansk. Russian forces have advanced further from Hoptivka, and they are pushing into the northwestern part of Vovchansk. And from the north, after the capture of Avdiivka, they have pushing south down the road. And of course, the Russian forces have taken Taike, and they're actually now trying to secure the eastern part of Vovchansk, and trying to push towards from the east. And in this area here, the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed the capture of Hoptivka, and the Taike one is only mentioned by Ryba. Ukrainian mapping Deep State UA confirmed the capture of Platonivka. So a very complicated situation around here in terms of information wise, but in terms of the reality wise, in terms of the among the combined report, things are much more simpler. So Russian forces is now attacking from 3 different directions, and it looks like the aim is to just to attack from 3 different directions and block off any potential reinforcement of coming from the west. So this is currently the plan, because there is a bridge just off Taike. This bridge along this Vovchansk River has been blown up by the Russian side, and it's a bit unusual to blow up this river unless they don't, because they could needed it, to actually attack into Vovchansk Kotury, but they didn't want it, so they are actually just going down this road along the Vovchansk River to head towards Starytsya. So this is where they are going for, and they are not interested with this. So it's a bit of something unusual. So anyway, we'll continue to monitor how this develops over at this area here. So in terms of further away from the front, there is geolocation of MLRS of the Ukrainians getting destroyed just off Sakuri, and there is at the southeast, southeast, there is a bridge getting destroyed. So this bridge over here is getting destroyed is clearly to complicate Ukrainian logistics. So this is along the Siversk Donetsk River, and this would lend some credit into a possibility that the Russian forces is trying to cut off reinforcement towards the Kupyansk Front from Kharkiv. That is a possibility, but the front line is still very far away. The Ukrainians can repair the bridge, so tentatively, there's still no danger for the Ukrainians right now. So this is the Kharkiv offensive, or the Kharkiv Front, the full details of it. So let's move on to the next front line. We move into the Kherson Front. Over the Kherson Front, as mentioned just now, the Russian forces planted a flag over this island at the river delta of the Dnipro River. So not very important. It's a small thing. As I mentioned before, this is a very unimportant thing. So over at the Krinky region, Russian forces are attacking Krinky again. According to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Russians apparently cannot let go of Krinky, and the Ukrainians also cannot let go of Krinky. Very unusual. Russian Defense Ministry reported shelling at Ivanivka again and Kozatske again. So there must be some kind of a very serious concentration of Ukrainian forces in this area here to keep attracting more and more attacks. And Terhinka, there is a Russian airstrike being geolocated. So we'll continue to monitor this Dnipro River battles. We move on from this area towards the center, or towards the Dnipro, the Khyberey region. Russian Defense Ministry again reported shelling at Zolota Balka. This is like the third day consecutively that the Russians have hit Zolota Balka region. This continued to give me the chills. Actually, not really, of the possibility that the Ukrainians may just want to cross, and they are trying to gather their courage, but they just keep getting discouraged by Russian strikes. I'm not sure. So we will continue to monitor. I'm just saying things that I'm not sure. So that's not good. So moving on to the Zaporizhzhia Front. So this is Zaporizhzhia city, and this is the Zaporizhzhia Front. Over at the Zaporizhzhia Front, there is a geolocation of a Iskander striking a Ukrainian air defense system at Marivka. Otherwise, over at the front line, over in the Kharkiv sector, Russian forces are attacking in the Robotine region and as well as the Vobove region. Ukrainian forces counter-attack at Robotine, and that's about it over at the Kharkiv sector. And over at the Huyaipole sector, Russian forces allegedly attacked at Dorozyanka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, we haven't seen Dorozyanka being mentioned in a long time. The last time it was a Ukrainian attack on the 21st of August last year. Super long time ago. And even we talk about Huyaipole, south of Huyaipole, which is a Dorozyanka region, that is also 5th of March on my birthday. So it was some time ago. So we will continue to monitor. If this develops into a major offensive, oh my god. someone is going to pee their pants. So anyway, we will continue to monitor the situation over at the Zaporizhzhia Front. This helicopter we mentioned already. So we move on over in the Donetsk Front. So this is the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, the strategic situation is as such. Russian forces attacking at Starytsya and Uruzhaine. There is a Russian attack at Volodymyrivka towards Vodian, towards Konstantinivka, and Battle of Krasnohorivka is still ongoing. So this is the strategic situation over at the Donetsk Front. In details, in the Velika Novosibirsk sector, there is geolocation of Russian airstrike on Ukrainian position very close to the front line. And over in the rear, the Deep State UA geolocated Russian forces in the rear positions, but it's still pretty much very close to the front line. So it validates the Russian front line somewhat. The Russians are trying to attack both towns at the same time. We will continue to monitor and see how this develops. We move on. Over at this Volodymyrivka region, this is based on the latest report from the Russian Defense Ministry. They mentioned Volodymyrovka. I'm not sure what is this, if this is a real offensive or is just a probing. Russians are attacking towards Vodian. And over at Konstantinivka, as usual, the Russians are trying to push towards there, but that's about it. Nothing particularly very special. What is special is the Krasnohorivka situation. So the Russian forces have taken the entire salient right now, and are based on the Ukrainian mapping, and the Ukrainians have confirmed that the Russians have indeed taken basically everything in the eastern outskirts. They have taken everything in the center of Krasnohorivka, and they are now pushing towards the northwestern part of Krasnohorivka. And this push is significant because if the Russian forces are successful in taking by pushing the forces and fighting to the northwest, it may cause Ukrainian forces in the center here to be worried about not able to redraw, worried about tactical encirclement. So it will make the forces worry. So if you look further up north, you can see if the Russians push and force a fighting into this area here, Ukrainian defenders may freak out and decided to redraw into places where they can run away. So this push may be significant if the Russians push through, but we do not know what is the situation right now. The front line is really long right now. In this area here, we are talking about a 3-4 kilometers long front line within Krasnohorivka itself, and half of Krasnohorivka is now taken by Russian forces. The other half is still Ukrainians. So very, very serious situation. I'm not sure if this area here is considered Krasnohorivka or not. If it is, then of course then it's not half of Krasnohorivka. But let's continue to monitor the situation. But there doesn't seem to be much defenses around here, because this area here is very trusted, very, very heavily defended. It's not likely that the Ukrainians would lose this location, but now they do. So this might become another breakout zone, like Avdiivka Front, like the fall of Avdiivka city. It may trigger another breakout. So this is why Battle of Krasnohorivka is very important. A breakout from this region here would be very troublesome for the Ukrainians. It will not collapse the Ukrainians per se. There's a lot of defenses behind, but it will just be another Avdiivka Front situation. So we move into the Avdiivka Front itself, since we are talking about it already. Strategic situation is as such: Russian forces attacking in the area of Vodian towards Nontetelove. Ukrainian forces clash with them. Russian forces attack Umanske. Ukrainian clash with them. Russian forces attacking at Semenivka, Badaichi, Novoporovske towards Selivka Persha at Solovyove. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Solovyove. Russians attack Sokil, attack Yevhenivka, Novo-Alexandrivka. They are attacking in the area of Arkhanhelske. Ukrainian forces counterattack. Russian forces attacking towards Kalinove, and this is the strategic situation over at the Avdiivka Front. So very complicated. So in the southern part, there's nothing really special about this area here. There's Russians and Ukrainian forces clashing in these two towns that is currently being battled over. But the Russian Defense Ministry mentioned Vodian in their report, so a bit weird. So further up north, Russian forces are attacking seemingly everywhere. I'm not even sure what exactly is the situation. The Russian forces are supposedly trying to push out of their front line at Avdiivka and Semenivka. They are attacking Novoporovsky and trying to reach towards Novoselivka, Persia. Geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting there's an Abrams tank getting hit by the Krasnohorivka in the middle of the town, so that would be quite disastrous because the tank is supposed to help in the defenses. Russian forces are attacking out of Solovyove and towards Sokil. Ukrainian forces are trying to push back. The Ukrainian, in the previous SITREP, if you remember, the Ukrainians are trying to do this major counter-offensive in the center region. However, this seems to have failed, and it now triggers a massive counter-attack from the Russian side. So, and the Russians are pushing towards Ivanivske. So we will continue to monitor in this area here in the Avdiivka Front. In the northern flank, Russian forces have taken the salient. The entire salient has fallen according to the Russian side. Russian information by Ryba. So the Russians are now pushing Novoalexandrivka. This is still the same thing. They have taken this area here, and fighting is now in the Arkhanhelske region, and the Russians are pushing towards Kalinove. North of Arkhanhelske is going to be very complicated, very difficult because it is very heavily defended. There is a lot of heavy entrenchment around this area here, defending Kalinove. So we will continue to monitor, see how the Russians deal with this situation. And that's all from this area here. We move into the Niu-York Front. In the Niu-York Front, Ukrainian forces counterattack at the New York region. Russians attack at the Mayos region. And that's about it. Nothing very special about this. We move on into the Bakhmut Front. So let me drink water. Water drank. So we continue into the Bakhmut Front. So in the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, we have the usual Russian forces attacking at the Klishevka region, Andreevka and Kudyumivka. So nothing particularly special about this area here. We move further up north. So over at this center part, the Russian forces are have pushed out of Ivanivske, and they have taken a significant ground around here based on the latest mapping from the Ukrainians. And they have secured a lot of this, quite a bit of the canal region. Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking at Ivanivske, but probably can't really do much. There's some fighting reported at Novi, but I think nothing serious about there. So the situation is as such. I think in this area here, yeah, it looks quite bad for the Ukrainians. I'm not sure how this, but the Ukrainians have very good defensive positions along the canal. Personally, I do not believe that the Russians will attack into Chasivya. If they do, then it's a bit stupid. So, yeah, but I think this is just a pinning operation. I think Bakhmut Front has been a pinning operation from the Battle of Bakhmut. Now the Battle of Chasivya, I still think it's just a pinning operation. So we will continue to monitor. In the northern flank of the Bakhmut Front, there is fighting reported at Orikovo, Vasilivka, and Kharkovivka. The Orikovo, Vasilivka have not been reported to be fighting for a long time, since 5th of May, and even before 5th of May, it's very sporadic. There's always nothing very serious. But this northern flank of the Bakhmut Front is starting to get more and more hotter. We already have Kharkovivka being mentioned like 3 times already in May. So maybe the Russians are gearing up to do more in this front line. So we will continue to monitor this area here. And we move into the Siversk Front. So over at the Siversk Front, Russian forces continue their Siversk offensive. Fighting reported at Bilohorivka, Vovchansk, Sperne, Vimka, as well as Rodolivka. So that's the frontline changes, not frontline changes. This is the offensive by the Russians over in the Siversk Front. There's no further information per se, so I can't really talk much about it. So that's all for this area here. And then we move into the Kreminna Front. So over the Kreminna Front, Russian forces also are continuing their Kreminna offensive, with fighting reported in the Serbianske Forestry, Dirbrova, Torske, Yampolivka, Nevske, and Makievka. So these are this is a lot of stuff that's currently happening at one shot. This is yet another offensive. So we shall continue to monitor. Let's see how this progress. I'm not sure if the Ukrainians can hold against so many offensive right now. And the offensive are getting more and more intense because the Russian weaponry is getting more and more powerful. So we will definitely continue to monitor and see how it goes. Svatove Front is a bit simpler right now. There's fighting reported at Novoyehorivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, and there's fighting reported at Starytsya. Ukrainian forces reportedly is counterattacking at Starytsya, and that's about it over the Svatove Front. Over the Kupyansk Front, at the Kupyansk Front, there is fighting reported at Ivanivske. This information is according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Russians and the Ukrainians clash over at Sinkivka, as usual. So there's nothing much regarding there. Over at Ivanivske, there is a mortar and a tank getting destroyed just off the front line over at Krasnohorivka. So it's just off the front line, very close. So the Russians have already captured Krasnohorivka. So maybe the Ukrainians was trying to get closer to try to hit some Russian targets, but it got destroyed. So maybe that's what happened. So that's all for the Kupyansk Front, and we have already covered the Kharkiv Front, and that's about it. So this is the full summary and SITREP and Frontline changes report for the day of 808 for the 11th of May, and of course with all the latest information on the 12th of May as per this recording. So do press the like button, subscribe. Sorry that it's this long, 40 minutes long, but this is used to be normal for the DPA report in the first year of the war. But anyway, thank you for watching. Unable to split this. So anyway, for if you want to watch this without delay, as soon as it's posted, subscribe to DPA War channel if you are watching this on the main channel. So on the main channel will post the SITREP like this report, but it will be delayed. So to maximize the reach of DPA's video because of how the algorithm now works on YouTube. So blame the game, don't blame me, and I'll see you guys in the next update, and happy Mother's Day. Bye guys.